Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Good morning, Base. Welcome back.
Joe here.
Kevin.
So we have another episode of The West Wing here for you.
Yeah, we're moving right along here through
Thing-
season 2. Yep.
Things are getting interesting. The last episode was kind of a one-off episode, didn't really pertain to anything regarding the main storyline of the show, but it was interesting character development, and there was a little bit of
Sure.
stuff going forward, obviously.
Yeah. Mostly dealt with Sam.
Yeah.
And his parental issues with his father.
Yes.
Which his dad was having a long-term affair. Which
For 27 years, they said, I think.
Yeah, it kind of made me think because my parents divorced when I was young, but we didn't have that to go to deal with.
Yeah.
But I wonder what you do in that situation. Is if you're an adult kid and it's like your parents are getting divorced and it's because one of them behaved badly. It's like, man, how do you take that? That how crushing is that? That I never really considered that before.
Yeah, my parents divorced when I was young. I was in grade school,
Yeah,
and
me
Sam,
too.
being
Yeah.
an adult, well out of college, and in
A professional man,
very successful man,
yeah,
for that
right.
matter, for that matter, and he's dealing with this now. So that's a weird dynamic.
Oh, completely. It's like, wow, everything I thought I knew about my parents growing up for an entire, half your life, um, lifespan,
Mhm.
is completely broken at that point. That'd be tough.
And it's interesting too because it's like, well, if you're an older person and your parents are like, "Hey, it's just not working out," you're
Different
out of the
story,
house.
right.
That's a way different story. The fact that you find out your father's been a liar for the last
Right. He's had
27 years.
had a family on the side kind of situation.
Yeah, that's Sam's probably what 30-something years
Yeah,
old.
I think so. I think
So-
he's in his early. The character is supposed to be in his early 30s on the show.
That's literally his entire life.
Right. Yeah.
His whole life is basically a lie. So that's kind of earth shattering.
Absolutely. So and politically we kind of dealt with pardons, right? And the nature of who does and who doesn't make the cut list and why.
That was a very interesting parallel
Sure.
to Sam's dilemma.
Right.
And I mean, on the nose for sure.
Right.
But at the same time, they handled it very well.
Oh, it's Sorkin, man.
Yeah.
Like who gets forgiven and who doesn't.
Yeah, we don't
it's
doubt
basically the nature of the
Sorkin.
show. Yeah. No. He knows the man knows what he's doing when he's writing this TV show.
And a lot of you guys were very, very insightful on the making of the episode. So I can't remember the username, but regardless, I read your comment. I responded to your comment too. But they said that when Sorkin was writing that episode, he was listening to that song.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's
I kind of figured that probably played into it. Sure.
Not that the song has anything to do with the episode.
Right.
The tone of it is what he was trying to
Right.
capture. And so that's kind of how he wrote the episode. He just kind of reverse engineered that.
I liked it.
It was awesome. Yeah, Sorkin's the man.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you use the song title as the title of the episode, or the song lyric as the title of the episode, then
But that makes sense. I mean, I've written
completely.
essays. I've written other things in the past where I'm like, just listen to music, you need some inspiration, and then all of a
Sure.
sudden you just start churning out ideas.
pretty common for Hollywood too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Do you want to welcome some new Patreon subscribers, guys, for the weekend? So, Alan Lombardi, Jay Sheed, 2 Under Far, and Michael Roeder. Thank you thank you so much. We really appreciate it. That was my handwriting issue, right?
I thought it said Michael Rooker for a second.
I wrote really poorly this morning.
But thank you so much for subscribing,
Absolutely.
guys. You guys make this whole thing possible for us, and we really appreciate you.
Very much so.
If you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel.
Yes.
If you don't mind hitting that like button for us, leave us a comment down below, and please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of our new content we have coming your way.
Absolutely. If you'd like to see the full through reaction to this and all the other episodes of The West Wing and everything else we are watching or watched, including the entire run of, let's see, we've completely finished out Ted Lasso and Fleabag, both great shows.
If you guys
Patreon.
like The West Wing, though, and you want to watch a nice little companion piece, I would suggest Succession. We're doing Succession.
That's a Patreon exclusive. Yeah, we're almost done with season 3. Finishing up season 3 this week.
Yeah.
Season 4.
By the time you guys are watching this, we'll have season 4 hopefully on YouTube by then, and we'll be finishing that. Yeah,
absolutely. Stackhouse filibuster. This would be old school filibuster, right? Where one person stands and talks, kind of like the Leslie Knope filibuster, where you don't relinquish the floor. Like
Knope.
Mr. Smith goes to Washington kind of filibuster. Because the rules are different now. Now it's easy.
We've compared the show to Parks and Rec many times in the past, and it oddly applies. It really does.
Well, and plus you've got Rob Lowe, right?
I know, exactly. Yeah.
He's
Dear
reading
Dad,
a recipe.
First of all, a filibuster that no one ever saw coming. Not the Senate leadership, not the party leadership, and not me.
This is very Gossip Girl.
Yeah, it is, right? Yeah. I've never seen Gossip Girl.
I've just seen clips.
I'm saying, how many recipes are there?
Altogether?
Yeah,
I can't cook, but I think there are probably like 20 or 30.
you're screwing around with me.
Oh, yeah.
The reason they needed to stick around is that the moment the filibuster's over, there'll be a vote. And once they vote, I need my spin boys.
I like how they're using this letter to her dad as a way to explain to us,
They're
the audience,
changing
what's
the
going
format a
on.
little
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
Instead of the Donna talk, it's
Exactly,
the
yeah.
letter. Yeah.
It happens to be the spring training home of
The New York Jets, yes, you told me. Josh, you can watch basketball on TV.
Yes, the
Basketball.
New York Knicks. Mike Piazza's gonna be standing in the batting cage. He's gonna turn and see me. He's gonna say, "Dude."
You're looking at democracy at work. It's a beautiful thing.
How much more beauty can we be expecting tonight?
Well, I didn't think it would be that much longer.
Been going out for 3 weeks.
And she's already bitching about dinner?
CJ.
Loser. Everybody, this was unforeseen. When he does, there'll be a vote immediately. When it's done, the president will make his calls. White House staff will be available for comment. And we're gonna need like a massive truckload of pizza and, I don't know, maybe some Curvo 1800 if we got a line down.
CJ.
I'm supposed to be on my way to Napa right now for my dad's 70th birthday. You hear me complaining?
You just did.
Get out. I'm betting when you read this, you're going to be glad I stayed. I'm betting you're going to end up rooting for a Minnesota senator named Howard Stackhouse.
I want to know what the
Interesting.
filibuster's
Yeah.
all about.
Oh, we'll get into it for sure.
It's kind of a long intro.
Yeah, that really was, wasn't it? That was a long, cold open.
Yeah. I like that they're changing up the formatting of the show.
Sure.
Like the last episode of Sam, I mean, even Noelle,
Right.
it's
Structurally different, right?
it's
Keep it
keeping it
fresh.
from getting
yeah,
stale, yeah.
Absolutely.
It means you can't stop talking ever.
These rules are
You
way
can't
different
eat,
now.
and
You
you
can
can't
just
drink,
take the floor and
which is
pass it
fine,
off, and
because you
give it to
can't
somebody else,
leave the
yeah,
chamber.
you can.
pass baton.
That's why the filibuster just kills bills now.
Yeah.
Yay! Nothing getting done.
Yeah.
We got the Family Wellness Act.
It's done.
Yes, sir.
What did we get? What did we lose?
We got most of what we wanted in Title VII.
Women seeking abortion should not be required by law to be lectured at.
Yeah, but you're gonna help me out there, right?
Yes, I will. I will once again betray the sisterhood.
You just spent $6 billion on healthcare. How do you feel?
I'd feel better if it meant just once I could go to a doctor without filling out something on a clipboard.
Dad, this would be a good time to mention that it's possible that an Egyptian cat goddess named Bast has put an ancient curse on me.
CJ. Yeah, and on the president's trip to Cairo, Ali gave him a gift, a ceramic statue.
Okay.
The State Department told the Office of Protocol it's important that the gift be displayed when Ali visits. Says she handed it to you in Cairo.
Did you say a small ceramic statue?
Yeah, of a cat.
Did she break it?
Oh, man.
Well, I have to think about it, Charlie. It was a year ago, and it's not like I have instant recall of every ceramic cat statue I've ever been handed in Cairo.
Yeah,
She knows she broke it.
Charge that it was the White House's pursuit of tighter emission standards that's caused the rise in prices. Tomorrow night, Bill Trotter is going to be delivering a speech to the Detroit Economic Council on energy efficiency in the 21st century.
To punch back?
Yeah.
Me? I'll take questions at the end. I'll open it up for anything. And they will ask me about Sluman and oil.
He's got an angle. He always has
does
an
have an
angle,
angle,
for
yeah.
sure. And Toby can't figure it out.
No,
Prepared
but he
some
knows.
notes for you?
He's 78 years old. He has a head cold. This bill is going to pass. He has no hope, to say nothing of I can't imagine what the hell it is he's fighting for.
He's going to read David Copperfield.
Because he just went into hour number 8.
I think the most famous filibuster scene is obviously Mr. Smith goes to
Oh,
Washington.
for sure.
And that's like really noble and it's like really
Right.
good and it
Yeah.
makes you like feel inspired.
Yeah.
Dear Dad,
Aw.
CJ Craig's writing an email to her father.
I like this
till
handoff.
time during the
I like this too,
filibuster, and it reminded me I haven't told you any tales from the White House.
The White House has been instructed by Congress to compile a list of 400 government reports that should be eliminated.
Because it's insane. We got over 3,000 reports from federal agencies last year. Agriculture spent $40 million producing 280 reports. What's going on?
Sam.
I was just with Hoynes.
About Sluman's testimony?
Yeah?
What do you say?
I'll take questions at the end, and they'll ask about the Sluman testimony, and he'll step up.
There's
Well,
something.
somebody's
out
got to
there.
be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
Help you?
No, you seem to be screwing the world up all by yourself.
Who are you?
I'm an intern at the GAO.
The accounting office tells me I can save the taxpayers $3 million by cutting 400 reports.
Now, every American family can realize their dream of a college education for their children.
So it just happens you read the report I pulled off the top.
I've read them all.
You've read them all?
Wow.
The bottom
She's
line
going
is,
places.
because of the
Yeah,
low
no
rate of
kidding.
unemployment, people can be a lot more choosy. And the municipal sanitation departments are having trouble hiring qualified trash collectors.
When you get out of school, you should come see me for a job.
There you go.
So, when I get out of school, you should come see me for a job.
I
broke the damn statue.
Yeah, okay, there it
Not
is.
There it
badly,
is.
You called it.
but, you know, in several pieces.
He wants an amendment added to the Family Wellness Act that'll allocate money for autism care and research.
And we don't want to?
This is what's called a Christmas tree bill.
You're going to meet with me, or there's not going to be a vote while I'm alive. Stackhouse.
As if it were her fault, poor thing.
Oh, man.
Finished David Copperfield?
No way he read all of David Copperfield. Unless it's like 24 hours later. It's kind of cool. They're all bored with filibuster. They're all emailing their parents.
Yeah. In this country for over 150 years.
I want $47 million to fight autism.
Sir.
5 centers of excellence. So another $47 million hurts you how?
Sir.
It's 0.8% of a bill aimed at health issues affecting children. We've allocated funds for Alzheimer's, glaucoma, and erectile dysfunction.
Sir.
You know a lot of 2-year-olds afflicted with that horrific condition, do you?
Yeah. He's like, I have to go empty my bladder for the next 24 hours.
Right, exactly, right?
He knew right there. He's like, I gotta get ready for this.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta go carb load.
Yeah.
Are you accusing members of the PPA of price gouging?
Some of these CEOs are old friends of mine, but I can tell you they do know how to turn a profit.
Toby said it was an impressive display from Hoynes, but couldn't get past the question of why he volunteered to do it.
It's very strange.
He's going to benefit somehow, yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Could Howard Stackhouse possibly be a bigger horse's patoot? I feel bad.
Why?
His wife died a few years ago. I didn't go to the funeral.
And his grandchildren are next to him on stage. He's got 7 of them.
What's the problem?
There are only 6 in the shot. I don't think he's just being ornery. I think he has a grandson who's autistic.
I made a deal with Abby.
Oh, this is coming back again.
Oh, the MS thing, yeah.
What I thought.
1 term.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
Also, Leo didn't even know he wasn't going to run again. So Hoynes and Abby were the only ones that knew he wasn't supposed to be running again.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense of why Hoynes stepped up then. He's running.
Yeah.
You crazy glued it?
I didn't know what it was. I needed a potpourri holder. I have the ancient curse of Bast on me, so get off my back, Sparky.
He knows we would have gotten it done. Why doesn't he?
Does it
Because
matter?
he doesn't want to make political hay out of his grandson.
I want to see if there was a way I could help him out.
Give him some dignity, right?
Excuse me?
The chairman's going to gavel him off if he stops talking or sits.
Excuse me? He's allowed to yield for a question without yielding the floor.
What do you mean?
He's allowed to yield for a question without yielding the floor.
Make this happen.
Yes, sir. Oh, and I broke your statue.
What do you know that I don't?
Toby's figuring it out.
Toby, the total tonnage of what I know that you don't could stun a team of oxen in its tracks.
And the problem being, of course,
that Stackhouse would have to know as much about rules and procedures as Donna had and not think we were trying to screw him.
Mr. Grissom. Will the senator yield for a question? I yield to the senator from Washington for a question. My question is in 22 parts.
And that was it. Grissom
Baby
gave
P.
him a rest and an opportunity to answer some real questions about autism. And if politics brings out the worst in people, maybe people bring out the best. I'll catch the first plane out in the morning, and if you wouldn't mind not turning 70 until tomorrow, that'd be great.
What a great...
I love this.
Oh.
I love this a lot.
Okay, so I feel like every episode after Noel, we're kind of talking about the show in retrospect, you know?
Yeah.
Not to say that the episodes are bad, I'm just saying, like, I feel like that was a real peak for the show. This felt much in line like Noel, in the sense they tried something new. I like the different perspectives.
Structurally, completely new, right.
it. I enjoy it. It makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
And they're sending a lot of dense information your way with the show.
And that was a good way to do it, wasn't it?
Perfect way to do
it.
it.
Have the characters in the know explain to their fathers who aren't, for the benefit of the audience.
Especially, it's not one character.
It was 3. I liked how they did it with several characters.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just going to be CJ's letter. Sparsely throughout the episode.
I did too.
So when they started introducing the other characters doing it as well, it was really nice to kind of change it up like that. I love this. It was a feel good episode.
It's not cheesy. It's
right.
not. It doesn't seem. Oh my gosh. I guess cheesy is the word I'm going to say. But the fact that you have 3 different people doing it, it feels more. Real, I guess.
I think cheesy's an okay word in that it could have been corny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Thank you.
If handled by a lesser group of talented people, right? a lesser writer, a lesser director, a lesser cast. This could have been corny,
You
but
wrote
it
your eyes
was
at it.
not at
Yeah.
all. This was done so well and so perfectly that it just felt good, which makes me think one thing. We are headed into some dark territory, as this show usually does when because we get feel good episodes sometimes, but that's usually right before like
Get ready.
the plane crashes into the mountain.
I know, right?
Yeah, so I'm assuming we're not going to keep having feel good episodes, and I think the Hoynes, Abby, Toby thing there is kind of the hint of like we're heading for some conflict because we're at the end of season 2. A decision has to be reached at some point. Some people are under the assumption that the president's not going to run again, including possibly Leo now, right?
Yeah.
And we assume he's going to because of the run of the show length.
Yeah.
Like, if we were watching this in real time, we wouldn't really know what the future holds.
Which I'm a little envious of. The fact that, like,
of
we
course.
know there's going to be 7
We
seasons
know
of West
right, we know there's going to be
so.
7 seasons, so we know he's going to know he's going to run again for sure. We're not going to have a different president for the last 4 seasons.
What we don't know though is what is the catalyst to get him to run again.
Exactly.
So
we don't know how this is going to work, and we don't know what the fallout's going to be with Hoynes and with Abby particularly, who neither one of them want him to run again.
I know, and Hoynes is interesting because like he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he is antagonistic.
Ambitious. He's antagonistic because he's ambitious in a different way from the president.
And
right.
it doesn't seem like they're on the same team.
Right, exactly.
And,
so he's going to naturally feel, for those of us who are like rooting for
Bartlett,
for Bartlett administration,
yeah.
It's going to feel like he's a bad guy because he's going against him when he's really not. In fact, a lot of these characters who are adversarial, like in this one, Stackhouse, a lot of these characters who seem adversarial are not the bad guy. They just feel like they are because they're inconveniencing or causing pain for the central characters on the show we love.
Well, with Stackhouse too, it's interesting because as soon as he started the filibuster, we were like, okay, well, if he's been reading for this long, there's got to be something to it.
Right.
You don't just do that to be ornery.
Yeah. The idea, like the idea of was like that's what the assumption was.
Yeah.
The only thing about this episode, if I had one complaint, and it's not a big one, is the idea that it made a difference that his own grandkid had autism, as if the millions of other families who have kids with autism didn't matter. And so when it's in the writing, but when Bartlett says like, well, if we'd have known that, we would have gotten something done. And it's like, well, what about for everybody? Why does it have to be for a senator?
Yeah,
how about get it done for the the countless families who have children with autism? That it does have nothing to do with the Senate. So that's the one thing that kind of scratched me a little bit. Was like,
it did
why
why
is his grandkid more important than anybody else's grandkid?
It felt a little gross.
Right. Yeah, it did. It definitely did.
I wonder if they were signaling for it, though. Whenever we first met him, I was like, he probably has some connection. Because
right, for sure.
Normally, 78-year-old men don't really seem to care about
now,
much of anything that doesn't pertain to them, you know?
Sure. But maybe I'm misreading that line. Maybe that line was, well, if I would have known he was going to go through all of this, we would have done something to keep this from happening. Sure. But it did. It was a little ambiguous, and it kind of sounded to me at the time like he's like, well, that poor guy, we would have helped his grandkid out. And I'm like, well, how about the other millions of grandparents whose grandkids.
Just for the sake of that,
yeah. But other than that, I felt like it was a fairly flawless episode.
It really was.
Yeah.
And I found it kind of fun that every time we cut back to him, he was reading a new piece of material. Right. Like eventually, it's going to cut back to him reading a comic book or something.
Right. I do like he started David Copperfield, and less than an hour later, he was off David Copperfield. Like he got bored reading David Copperfield, didn't he? Because he did not finish it.
Can we ask a question? Can you read something else?
Guys, everyone shut up. I haven't read David Copperfield yet. I want to hear this.
Please yield. Can you read something else, please?
I like Dickens, but can you read Hard Times?
Yeah,
instead?
Hard Times, Christmas Carol.
Something else,
No, but it was a great episode. And I like it when they have fun with the show. Because, this isn't necessarily fun material to portray, but they make it really interesting.
This is a masterclass on if you're going to take dry material, like teaching an American audience or a world audience about how the American government works and all the issues they deal with, and crafting a creative, interesting, compelling show around it to hold your attention while teaching you this stuff. It's brilliant.
That's one thing I love about Sorkin is every movie, every show he does. Well, I haven't seen any of his shows other than The West Wing now.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But I like that even in his movies, it feels educational because he's really explaining a lot of things.
I learned so much from Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
As far as like how, and I know that I get that.
Social Network,
right. I get that those are dramatized and not 100% accurate stories.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not saying like we learned everything about Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg from that. We know that those were characters he created.
Yeah.
But just in terms of like how the Apple business model kind of worked. It was
Sure.
it was like a really good educational process.
And I haven't seen it, but I'm curious about the newsroom because I want
Right.
to see how he tackles the news, like
Right.
how that all works, you know? And
Yeah, I feel like they hint at it a little bit on Succession. The idea
yeah, exactly. I was
of
thinking
how
Succession, yeah.
corrupt corporate news really is, but I kind of want to see the newsroom to see how that works in a counterbalance to that.
I love that you said Succession because I was just thinking to myself, what else do I want to see Sorkin tackle? I'm gonna sneeze real fast.
Do it. Bless you.
Oh, excuse me. Thank God I have a tissue nearby. Allergies. But no, I'm thinking about what I want to see Sorkin tackle, and I was thinking, well, a business. I'm like, well, we kind of had that with Succession.
Right.
What would you want to see Sorkin tackle to kind of explain to like a general audience?
Honest to God, and I know it's been hinted at already, so I'm not bringing an original thought. But I think even he has suggested it might be time to go back after everything that's happened with social media since The Social Network a decade later and do a sequel now. With everything that's happened with Facebook.
Like a continuation of that story or just an entirely different story?
An update. Basically, like, here's where we are in the world now with because of how it impacted the 2016 election and everything. I would love to see him say, like,
you could do that. You can make it like Godfather 2, kind of. You know what I mean?
100%. And I think even Eisenberg said he'd be way on board for coming back and playing Zuckerberg, 2022 at the time, I guess, Zuckerberg, for what has Facebook done to America now.
Well, think about that, too. Think about how much more disliked he is now.
Oh, we know so much more about him now, right? And we know, like, we didn't know what the implications of Facebook on the 2016 election were going to be.
Sure.
But it's like, oh, you guys really just took the money and ran a lot of misleading information from Russia.
I mean, honestly,
to help sway a freaking presidential election.
It would be like Godfather 2, be straight villain mode. You know?
Yeah, and I would like to see it. I would love to see it.
But no, he's tackled what we've got: poker. We have the trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah, he does issues,
and I'm just so enthralled by that. I want to see more of that. I mean, even if you go back to like A Few Good Men, that's a courtroom drama.
It's a courtroom drama where he tackles like following order. The idea of following orders versus doing the right thing.
But
that's what that movie's about.
Too. Even with The West Wing, it's not just the White House.
Right.
It's the White House and the day-to-day operations. It's a courtroom, but with the military proceedings of everything, you know? And I think that's so interesting. And if you guys have any ideas of what you want to see Sorkin
what should Sorkin do? Because honestly,
let us know.
I'm in the camp that I think Sorkin is a great writer, but his films work better if a great director's doing them. I like him a lot. I love Aaron Sorkin. I wish he would stop directing and focus on writing.
I never saw Being the Ricardos.
I did. I watched it after the Oscars because I was like, oh, I've never even heard of this movie, and there's all these nominations for the performers.
Tackling the industry.
Right.
You know, and so that's cool, man.
Right.
And I just love this. I think it's such a fun idea, and I think it's important that because we all have these ideas of these jobs, you know, to be business people, presidents, but we don't really know what that entails.
Right.
And so to see that broken down on television and movies, we just need more of that.
Right. And the fact that he so brilliantly not only is doing an issue-based show, but tackling characters so well. I know. This is
compartmentalize.
This is phenomenal.
20 different characters in one man's brain, you know,
and they're unique characters. You know what I mean? It's not all like I know it's like Aaron Sorkin writing in an Aaron Sorkin voice.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's unique character traits among these people. They're very lived-in characters.
That's one thing. I mean, we said that several times this episode about
like
how
Toby's his own guy, CJ's her own person. Yeah.
About how each different episode really fleshes out the characters. We had the Sam episode
the Josh episode, Noel. Yeah.
This one felt very much like a CJ episode.
Right.
Truly, I don't have words to say how much this.
What a great show!
Insane, yeah.
Very glad. I mean, we're very late to the party. Glad we're tackling it now.
I am too.
All right, we'll catch you in the next one, guys.
See ya.